Hi, and welcome to an update on my Engage shed layout. And I've been working on the raised area. So those of you that have been following this either through the videos or the Train Shed Tuesdays will know that this is the long layout. So it's 10 foot by 2 foot, or just over 3 meters by 60 centimeters. Sorry, 60? Yeah, 60 odd centimetres. And I had the bottom loop done, and I wanted to work on the lower area, the higher area. And basically what I've done since you last seen it is I've enlarged it. And I thought some people might be interested in the kind of thought processes behind how I plan things. So I had quite a nice loop which went to this line. It's a much smaller one. And then out of interest, I was running trains. I had it wired up to see how it would work. And I remembered I'd got this. Which is the excellent Kato Glacier Express. Say Glacier, that's the old mints, wasn't it? Glacier mints. Glacier anyway, Express. And I was fairly certain that I'd had it going around this layout, which was the 15 centimetre radius Kato track. And I was right, because this goes round that. So that made me think, well, actually, I don't need to run just my short pocket line stuff up here. I could run this. So I had a go at the sidings, and this was originally going to be the station. But this point's interesting. They're really great. I've not used these before, these very short radius points. The loco will run fine that way, but for some reason it occasionally derails going that way, which means that it has to go in that siding. And I also realised that if I was going to have a bigger train, I probably wanted a bigger station. And this is lurking around in my spares. I have a big box of stuff I bought. This was cheap because it's got some damage and needs repairing. But you've got a castle and a half-timbered station. It's going to look quite good, isn't it? Especially as I've got a half-timbered signal box. So that then got me thinking that I could do with a bit more space, because to get that in I needed more room, and so I realised that I could get more room if I extended the raised area, and instead of having the cutting here, put in a tunnel. So about half an hour with some offcuts of the chipboard, OSB board that I had, and some battening and some screws, and I left a hole there in case anything derails, and I also extended the layout by a couple of centimetres. That gave me a support for this, and obviously gives me a bit more room here and a bit more room on the top. So that's really how my layouts evolve. They're never planned, they always evolve, and this is a really good example. If I hadn't realised that train would run, I wouldn't have thought about putting a bigger station in, I wouldn't have thought about needing more room, I wouldn't have thought about putting the extension on. So that's really the way my layouts evolve. And it's why I quite often don't rush to build layouts. I like to spend a little bit of time running trains to see how it all works. I have got a slightly bigger goods shed that I might put on there. So I'm going to build some buildings and see how it all fits before I go too far. But it does look really nice having the two trains running round. So I'm going to leave the cutting there. This won't be a railway bridge, it'll be a road bridge. So another concept that I'm going to take from my usual layouts is a backbone, what I call a backbone road. So it'll start over there somewhere, run through here, go over the cutting, down into the industrial area, through into the town, and then up and out the other side. And that'll be the next thing I'll put in, and that'll be as curvy as I can get, so it's not too straight and obvious. And then everything will go from there. So I've got quite a few more buildings to build. I did get some good second-hand ones. I was in the model shop in Eastbourne Models and Hobbies, mostly trains, and got that for 12 quid, which is really cheap. So that's going to look nice there. And I found in a box, I forgot I've got the Tomix signal box, and it's an island signal box, so it'll sit between the two tracks. So I was really pleased to see that. So everything's running well. I've got ideas coming along, and I think that'll keep my interest going. And it's great to be able to see two trains running over the bridges like that. And it's made the top area bigger. It was originally, in my mind, literally going to be a little oval there. But it's turned out to be quite a big layout in its own right, which I quite like. So very nearly half the length of the layout will be 2 level. And that gives you a good shot of it now. So quite a lot of work to do, sorting out wiring and that sort of thing of points. So this is going to be a long-term project. So people that are used to my micro layouts that I've been building that come along really quickly, this will be very different, because I want to spend some time getting it right and enjoying the scenery. I've also got the usual problem of I keep stopping to run trains when I should be building it. There was a lovely guy on Instagram a few years ago who admitted his layout had taken him over 2 years, because most of the time, as soon as he came in to build something, he put trains on and watched trains. And that's also, of course, a big problem with a Kato track, because it took me all of an hour to lay all that lower track. And there it is running. Oh, I've just lost my power. That's interesting. We've got temporary power for the building work, and I suspect my wife might have unplugged it for getting on down here. So I'm just going to go and see. So that gives you an update. I'm just going to go and find out about the power, and I'll speak to you again soon.